Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Scott Herman, and welcome to my intake install video for the Scion XB. Mine's a 2011, and this is Joey, if you guys haven't met Joey yet. Now, I've driven this car about 18,800 miles. I bought it in June. I drove it across the country twice, across to go to San Francisco, and then I'm back home. And so I'm pretty used to this vehicle. And I did the install video last night, and then I didn't beat the sun. And so the test drive video I did was at dark out. And I want you guys to make sure you go to the end of this video or utilize the timestamps in the info section below to go through each step if you're doing the install yourself, or if you just want to check it out. There's going to be two test drives. Test drive 1 is going to be at night as soon as I was done, and then test drive 2 is going to be me doing it today with the sun still out. And so I had a chance to drive the car around a lot today, and I will say that extra horsepower, I could really feel it when I'm cruising around in third gear and I'd give it a quick, hit the gas really quick. The pickup was a lot faster. So super excited to share this video with you guys. The sun's out, so I want you to see how it looks nice and clean. And hopefully you guys will do just as great a job as I did. And if you want to videotape your experience, be sure to do a video response to this video. So remember, guys, visit autoshepherd.com for your OEM performance parts needs. Now let's start the install video. Hey guys, what's going on? We're back in the garage today. Now, if you missed the last install video, we did an Eibach sway bar in Jane. It's my 2010 Camaro. Here's the video link right here. But today, we have Joey in the garage, and Joey is my 2011 Toyota Scion that is wrapped with my SHF business logos and all kinds of cool stuff. And Joey needs a little bit more horsepower and some better gas mileage. So we're going to be installing a K&N Performance Air Intake System today, provided by autoshepherd.com. If you guys need OEM parts or performance parts, this is the place to go. Search for your car, and everything you need will pop right up. So we're in the garage, like I just said. Like last time, if you guys saw my intake install video I did with Jane, I already took the liberty to put some of the parts together. So if you guys are installing the same thing as me, this is what you're going to have to do. Just put the rubber grommet in the front here, the hose here. I have these on, but they're not tight. The clips are just kind of hanging there. And then I also went through the liberty of already cutting the rubber to fit perfectly on here. You're going to get these rubber hoses to put around, okay, but they're going to be a little longer, so you're going to have to cut it. So you cut it here. Then on the back one, you install it, and the way I did it is I put the slit on the bottom. Okay, so if water happens to get in here, it'll just kind of drip out. Hopefully, they'll never get water in there, but if it just happens to get in there, you're gonna have to cut it there too. So this stuff's already ready to go. I'm gonna put this down real quick. And the first step that you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to unplug the negative terminal on your battery. Now, the very first step you want to do is write down the stations you have on your radio, especially if you have XM radio like me and you have 12 stations because you have one button for both settings. So I already wrote those down, put them in my BlackBerry as a note. So now I'm going to take off the battery terminal, then I'm going to take off the cover right here, and then we're going to get to business. So we'll be back in a little bit. Alright guys, so we took off the negative battery terminal, and then we also already loosened these bolts right here to get off the cover. I like putting the bolts in the car when there is space, and there's like a little pocket up here, you can put everything up there. So I'm going to take this off, and as long as I put it down gently, I can rest this up here too. I don't have to worry about it going too far. And now the next thing you're going to do is you're going to unclip the wiring harness from the mass airflow sensor, and then you're also going to pull the EVAP solenoid valve off by just pulling up on it. It actually hooks in right here, and it comes up very easy. There's a rubber spot. Just work it a little bit. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to loosen up this clamp right here so that we can get this box off once we undo the clips below. So I'm going to loosen up this clamp. Get nice and loose. Good. Unhook these clips. I should be able to pop this right out. Now remember, I said should. Doesn't mean it always will. Alright, there we go. And we got that off. Oh, I got a little hose hook over here. Done. Alright, so now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take off the mass airflow sensor on here. put it on the K&N intake, and we'll be back shortly. Alright, so I removed the cover to the intake, and I skipped the step. I always skip steps. Maybe you shouldn't. I did. And I took the map sensor off here, and I put it on the K&N intake tube. Okay? The step 17, I did it right now. Don't go crazy. For the next step, what you guys are going to do is you're going to have to basically get rid of all this junk. So you're going to need a screwdriver, you're going to need a pair of pliers, and you're going to need a deep socket ratchet with a 10mm on the front. So let's take the filter off. I'll throw that over here. I already loosened these screws, so like magic, this comes right out. Well, maybe not like magic, a little less magic. Alright, I guess I forgot to take something off back here. Okay, what we got going on? Got a little clip with a little hose attachment. We're going to have to unclip this back here. Okay, you know what? There we go. You have to lift that little clip in the back up. It's not one of those pull ones. I just realized that. So that's gone. Alright, so let's get this out of here. Okay, obviously you want to keep all your old parts. Try not to damage anything. So we're going to remove this big guy right here and get this out of the way. Again, it's just the same. Getting a screwdriver to loosen the bracket just like you did for the top part of the box. That sounds good, huh? Actually, do you know what? We really don't even have to take that off because I can just move the hose. So I'm not going to take that off. What we are going to take off is the EVAP sensor right here. There is a bracket on it you have to take off, and there's some wires attached to it. I already popped the top one off. There's a screw in the bottom with a Phillips head. Don't lose the screw, so make sure, pay attention to what you're doing. And we're going to take this bracket off because the K&N intake comes with its own bracket. So we're going to take this off just like this. Alright. So don't lose the bracket, don't lose the screw. I'm going to put everything inside the lower part of the box. Alright. So now I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to do this hose right here. Just going to wiggle that over just like that. And then that should just kind of twist and pop off. A lot of times with hoses, you can't just pull them off, just twist them. Now there's another clamp way down here I'm going to have to reach down and get to. Put my pliers in the wide setting. Squeeze that. Just like that. I might have to loosen that and pull at the same time. You see down there, Tony? So again, I'm going to twist. There we go. Twist and pull. Stock tube is out. So now we're going to prep and get ready to put on the K&N intake. Alright guys, the next step is very simple. We're going to remove the fuel rail mounting bolt, which is right here. It's a 14mm bolt. So I'm going to use my large ratchet right here, 14mm socket. I'm going to stick it on there to break it loose, which I already did, so I'm going to take that off. And it's also going to be a good idea to have a 14mm wrench handy because you're going to be able to use that to get in here a lot easier to tighten this bolt up once you put on the tube mounting bracket. So make sure when you take this bolt off, don't go too quick. You don't want to lose the washer that's on there. And there's also a little tab sticking out right here. I want you guys to take a look. Make sure this tab goes on top like it is when you took the bolt off, okay? So make sure you don't move it. See the tab right here? That's going to lock it in place. So, tube mounting brackets right here. Going to screw it in, being cautious of that tab on top. And now I'm going to leave this a little bit loose just so I have some play with that so I can mount the tube properly. But once I'm done, I'll be able to utilize my wrench, come in here, and then tighten it up. Now the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take the silicone stepped hose and you're going to take the hose clamp and you're going to put this on here first. Make sure the bolt is facing out and away so when you put the step hose on, which is going to go on right down here. Let's see, get that on there. To wiggle it on a little bit. I want the bracket right here, the hose clamp, to have the bolt facing out, so I can take an 8mm socket and be able to get in here and tighten that up. So I'm going to tighten that up right now and then prepare for the next steps. See you guys in a minute. Alright, after much evaluation, Tony and I, this is Tony right here, helped me do the install.
Yes.
You guys may have seen him from previous videos, such as the kickball video when he got his double play, threw the ball from third base, got out the dude running the first, one throw, one arm. Enough about how cool Tony is. Alright, after much deliberation, Tony and I have decided to change the order of the steps a little bit because there's a bolt you have to put on to the intake tube that's going to be an absolute pain in the butt if you put on the heat shield first. So, what we're going to do, skip a couple steps, but don't worry, it's not going to mess anything up. First thing you're going to do is take the other hose clamp that's provided, and we're going to put it on this hose right here. Now what I'm going to do is make the bolt facing out again, so it's easier for me to tighten it up once I put the tube on. So we're going to leave that right there. Now the next thing you're going to do is you have to install the EVAP bracket on the EVAP solenoid, which I've already done. One of your screws is smaller, and there's also going to be a washer for it as well. And you're going to use an Allen wrench to put this on. Now this was actually at the bottom. If you remember, when you took it off, it sat like this. So if you look in the photo, you'll see it's installed this way. Just remember by this little clip right here has to be to the left and install it this way. So this is already tightened, and this is also going to be the same size Allen wrench you're going to use to take off your map sensor so you can put it on the K&N and can't even say it that quick, K&N intake tube. Okay, so now what we've discussed is to put the tube on, the bottom of the tube has to screw in right here, and this EVAP bracket has to sit back like this on top, and then you get to put a screw in through here to go onto the tube. Make sure this tube goes behind here as well. So what we're going to do is take our tube. I already put the map sensor on using the same Allen wrench. So I'm going to put this up here, my tool chest. And now I'm going to stick this back hose in. And now what you're going to spend some time doing is wiggling this around to get this bracket and this bracket to match up with this right here. And then you're going to use the provided hardware that they have. And make sure you take the bolt, put the lock washer on first, then the regular washer. And it's going to have to go in and up through here, okay? So we're going to install this. Bottom bracket's going to be the long one. Then the EVAP bracket's going to go on top. Then it's going to screw into the tube right here. So we'll be back as soon as we have that in there. Alright guys, now to make this step super easy, what we actually did was we took the tube out of the silicone hose right here, then we undid the fuel rail bolt that was right down here to take off the tube bracket. Now once we had the tube bracket off, all we needed was a 10mm socket. We got right underneath here, and we mounted the EVAP bracket on top of the tube bracket, tightened it up nice and snug so we could still move this bracket around, and then just maneuvered the tube back into the silicone hose, and then put the fuel rail mounting bolt back on. So it's still a little loose right now. I'm going to get in there, I'm going to tighten it up. Plugged in the mass airflow sensor, and you want to make sure that these hoses are not pinched. So feel around, make sure those hoses aren't pinched. We have it, see how we have this thing darted off to the side so it clears the tube? So you can put yours there as well. Plug it in, feel all your hoses, make sure they're not pinched on anything. And then it's going to be my recommendation to not tighten down this hose clamp yet, because you still might have to maneuver this around just a little bit to get in the heat shield. So I'm going to screw down this bolt right here, get it nice and tight, and then we'll be ready for the next step. Alright guys, so the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to install the heat shield. Now as I said earlier, I already pre-cut my tubing, so it's already on the heat shield. I already have my hardware ready. It's the same bolt you just used to install these brackets. Make sure you put the lock washer on top of the regular washer. Now, we have the tube in first. We changed the steps a little bit. And you're going to have to just kind of finesse this thing in here. It can be done. Just going to wiggle it just a little bit. Tony remembers that song from our DJing days. All right, there we go. I was making that a little harder than it had to be. Okay, so I was just trying to make it look like I know what I'm doing really well. Not know what I'm doing. All right, there's a fresh air supply tube down here that you want to make sure goes into the heat shield, okay? So that's stuck in there just like that, nice and good. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to take the 3 bolts that were provided to us, and we're going to install the heat shield down here by using our deep socket 10mm ratchet, okay? So I'm going to put those bolts in, and then we'll come back and do the next step. Alright guys, here we are at the final step. Now, I took my deep socket 10mm ratchet, and I tightened all the bolts down here, so this thing is nice and snug. Heat shield is nice and snug. Make sure the tube is in the middle of the circular hole right here, okay? Or else you're not going to be able to get on the filter properly. Now the next thing I did is I went back here, and I tightened down my hose clamp, so this tube isn't going anywhere. And then what you want to do is just double check everything on here, make sure all the bolts are tight. And what we're going to do is we're going to install the Canon filter right now. And what I'm going to do is take my hose clamp, I'm actually going to sneak it in here first. And then I'm going to slide on the filter, get on there as tight as I can. And then I'm going to put the hose clamp on, and I'm going to tighten it down, so make sure you can get to the screw over here. Then the next thing I'm going to do is install the crankcase vent hose. Now, it doesn't tell you to take off the OEM brackets, the OEM hose clamps. So what I'm going to do is I took them off, and when I install this thing, I'm going to put them on because, hey, why not? They're there. They look cool. The front one's black, so it blends in like a ninja. And there we go. So let me get my pliers. I'm going to tighten this up just like this. And then once I get these on here, I'm going to put the engine cover on, and we are ready to roll. So, I'm going to screw everything down. I'll be back in 1 second, and then we should be ready to go for a test run. Alright, so all the bolts are tightened, the engine cover is on. Now there's one last thing to do, and we're going to let Tony do the honors, is we're going to reconnect the negative battery cable. Tony, you want to show off your skills?
Not really.
There you go, look at that.
There are no skills, no Canadians have skills.
Tony is Canadian for all my Canadian Hermanites checking this video out.
100%.
I found one. Alright, so once that's connected, we're going to close it. Actually, no, we'll leave the hood open and we'll start it up. And rev it up a little bit for you guys.
Yeah, Mama like that one.
How's it going? So this intake should give us like 8 to 10 horsepower, a little better gas mileage, be able to get more air into the engine. I mean, look how much cooler that looks than the stock one. Bam, you're gone. But we're going to keep it anyways, just in case. All right, Tony. We nice and tight?
Yep.
All right, hold on to that.
Perfect.
Let's see if it works.
Probably not.
Sounds like Mike's Infinity. That actually sounds pretty good. Alright, so we're going to roll it out back, take it for a test run. It's dark outside, but we can still check it out. So we'll see you guys in the car. Alright, so I mean, I'm not going to lie to you guys and say that all of a sudden my Scion XB is like the super mega fast sports car now, but it does sound a lot cooler, and it does have a little bit more pickup. Obviously, we added some horsepower. So I'm just gonna videotape going straight so you guys can kind of hear the intake sound coming out of the engine, and then you guys can see how fast the car is going. Ready, Tony?
Yep.
All right. Can you see anything forward? Not really.
No.
That's kind of dark. Oh, we hit 30 pretty quick. No, but seriously, guys, we're gonna get some better gas mileage, a little more power to the engine. It's gonna breathe a little better. Adding an intake is always a good thing to do. So if you want to pick one up, make sure you guys visit autoshepherd.com. Do your custom install yourself. If you get a 2011 Scion XB and you want to do the install with me, you can utilize the timestamps. Yeah, timestamps in the info section below. So, hope you guys enjoyed this install video. More coming soon. And as always, Tony is Canadian.
Yep.
See you guys later. Alright guys, so this is test drive 2. And I'm in third gear right now, and I want you guys to see that the pickup, so I'm going to have you face the camera that way real quick, sweetie. So the pickup in third gear, and you can even hear the engine. Might not be able to tell too good on the camera, but the pickup is definitely faster in third gear. And I usually drive around town cruising in third, and sometimes just want to get ahead of somebody, and I just notice the pickup. You can hear the engine revving up, so it's pretty good. Overall, the intake mod is definitely something you should do to your car for the obvious reasons of better fuel economy, better airflow, and a little bit more horsepower. So, hope you guys enjoyed this install video, and as always, more good stuff coming soon. See you guys.